So to bring in data into Access from external sources, you come to this tab, the External Data tab. Okay, and with the External Data tab, you have two sections. You have the Export section and the Import and Link section. The Import and Link section, as it says, brings in data into Access from an external source. Here, the export data is what it says. I mean, the export section is what it says. It exports data, sends data out of Access. So, I mean, if I open up one of these tables right now, I can export the data immediately into Excel. I can export the data into a text file or turn it into a PDF file or send it as an email attachment, or I can send it to another Access database. I can send it with a word merge or in a word merge, or have these other options also. XML file, HTML document, SharePoint list. The list goes on. Well, it's not a very long list, but there are options. Okay, so right now I'm concerned with importing data into Access. I'm gonna close this from a file, particularly from Excel. So with Excel, you have three options. Let me do what I did again. I basically came here to the new data source from file, and I have options here. It can be from Excel, from HTML document, from an XML file, from a text file. If I choose the Excel option, I already demonstrated what happens with the first option. So here is the first option is importing the source data into a new table in the current database. So the next option is appending the data to a table that already exists in your database. So what I'm saying is this: if I have this table, I have a table. Let me cancel this for now. I have this table already here in Access. So it's called Employee Data May. Okay, and it has 100 rows of data, and it has all these fields right now. Now, if I want to bring in extra data, I want to append, I want to add more data to this table, that is when I will use that particular option. And so if I come to Excel and I go to append a copy of the records to the table, and I choose this option over here, I'm saying that I want to add the new data to this particular table that's already in my database already. All right. So the one thing that has to happen is that the field definitions in my destination table has to match the fields in the data that's coming in from outside, from external to Access. So this is what I mean. I'm going to close this for now, close the database so it doesn't complain. Okay, so if I come here, new data source, and I go to Excel, I'm going to pick my data from employees data May sample. I'm going to choose this option, append a copy of the records to this table. So it's going to join whatever data is here. It's going to add the data to this particular table. I have the option to choose a table. So I'm choosing this table. And when I say OK, it's going to take me through the same process as it did with the first option. So I'm going to pick the right tab in my Excel file, the right worksheet for my Excel file. This is my data. This is the employee data May file. I want this particular tab, employee data May. So that's what I'll be looking for here. So I'm looking for this tab. There are 4 tabs in my Excel document, but this is the one I want. When I click on it, it shows me a preview of the data. When I say next, it automatically identifies the first row as containing the headers. So I'm going to say next. So the question here is, I am importing this new data into this table that already exists. And it's not editable. It's just telling me this is what I'm doing. Okay. So then I can say finish. Do I want to save these steps? This option is here because it gives me, if this is something I do every month or I do every week, something I do every day, something I do constantly like that, I can save the steps so that I won't have to follow each step every time I do the import. If I save the steps now and I call it steps, and I call it steps, I save the import. it means that it wants me to give it a different name because it already exists. Um, if I give it a different name, it means that right now I can come here to save imports and look at the one I just saved, steps 2. So if I click on this and run it, it will do the same thing I just did. All the steps I followed in importing, it will be repeated. So essentially what happens is that now the new data has been imported into this table, and that's why you have duplication of records here. So you can see read, read. Read is twice. Flores is here twice. Brooks is here twice. Every entry um, is in there twice, and the number of rows has doubled. Instead of 100 records originally that we started with, now we have 200 records in the database. So that is how you can bring in data from Excel easily. That's in this case, it was an append. It was not an import into a new table. Okay, so having said that, let's explore the export option over here. So I have this table open right now, employee data May. No. Now, if I want to export the data into different formats out of Access, it's very easy. If you have the table open, that makes it a lot easier. So I can come here, pretty much the same process of that I followed in bringing the data into Access. I can pretty much follow the reverse of that process and get the data out into Excel also. Okay, so if I come here, table is open. Notice I can come here and click on Excel, and then it's going to show me a display again. Pretty much similar to the first one that it showed me when I was doing the import. So here it's asking me to give it a file name, to pick a directory where I want to export the data. So I mean, I can choose a directory, um, file folder, something like that. I'm going to leave it the way it is. It's asking me to choose a format over here. This is the latest format for Excel. So I'm going to leave it that way. And then it's have options here to choose if it's going to be uh, exported with formatting and layout or not. So anyways, I'm going to leave it. Let's say I check that option. I'm going to leave the rest of it for you to check out. So if I say OK, it's going to export the data. Again, it's asking me if I want to save these steps. If this is something that I do constantly, this might be useful for me. I can save the steps, and then so that next time when I need to do this, I can always come back and just click on that one option. With one click, do the same steps all over again without having to go one by one, step by step. Okay, so I'm going to say close, and then I can look at my data easily. So it's here. It's this is the data that's been exported just now, and it's this one. So it's this one. So it exported the data out. That's why you can see every record, every entry is repeated twice. So that's how you can bring data in from Excel into Access, while you are pending it to a table that already exists in Access.